I crashed my own father's 80th birthday party with a USB drive full of digital knives. Each file a sharpened blade aimed straight at the heart of the woman who birthed me but never really loved me. The room froze as I hit send on the group chat. Every guest, every relative, bombarded with the receipts of betrayal that my mother had buried deeper than her guilt. And, in that electric silence, as champagne glasses trembled in unsteady hands, I whispered to her, "Happy birthday, Dad. Now let's talk about the son you never knew you had. My name is Mia Harlan, and I've spent the last decade convincing myself that family is just a polite word for endless obligation. But nothing prepared me for the gut punch of scrolling through my inbox on a drizzly Tuesday in Seattle. The kind of rain that soaks into your bones and makes you question every warm memory you ever faked. It was 3 weeks before Dad's big 8-0. And there it was, an invite from Mom, all glittery fonts and balloon emojis, inviting the usual suspects to the shindig at the old family homestead in suburban Chicago. Cousins from Milwaukee, Aunt Rita with her yappy Pomeranian, even Uncle Ted who still calls me Mimi like I'm 5. But not me. My name? Nowhere in the guest list. Deleted. Erased. Like I'd been photoshopped out of the family album. I stared at the screen, coffee going cold in my mug, the steam curling up like the questions clawing at my throat.
Why?
We'd had our blowouts, God. Had we, but the last one was over a year ago, when I called her out for meddling in my divorce. That mess with Jake, my ex, the one who'd charmed his way into our lives like a fox in a henhouse. Jake, with his easy grin and promises of forever, who I'd met at a rooftop bar in Wicker Park during one of those endless Chicago summers. We'd built a life-fast loft apartment in Logan Square, weekend getaways to Lake Michigan, even talked kids. But Jake had a side hustle, or so he called it, siphoning funds from Dad's small hardware store, the one Pop had bootstrapped from nothing after immigrating from Ireland in the 70s. It started small. Jake handled the books after I begged Dad to hire him. He was between gigs, fresh off a layoff from some tech startup. "Babe, this'll get us that down payment," he'd say, kissing my temple while tapping away on his laptop late into the night. I trusted him. Hell, Mom trusted him more than me, always fluttering around him at family dinners, calling him the son I never had. By the time the discrepancies showed up, $43,000 gone like smoke. The auditors were circling, and Dad was facing tax evasion charges. But Jake? He vanished to Austin with a vague text about needing space, leaving me to hold the bag. I took the fall. Not because I was guilty, God. No, but because I was the only one stupid enough to believe in loyalty. Mom twisted it, convinced Dad it was my idea, that I'd influenced Jake, that my reckless heart had dragged the family into the mud. "You're just like your grandmother. Mia, impulsive, selfish," she'd hissed over the phone, her voice all Midwestern frost.
Dad,
with his Parkinson's tremors making his hands shake as he gripped the receiver, just sighed. "Fix it,
kiddo."
For the store. So I did. Liquidated my savings, signed the confession to keep it out of court, watched as the judge slapped me with probation and a felony record that killed my graphic design gigs overnight. Jake, free as a bird, posting Insta stories from South by Southwest, toasting to new beginnings. That was 5 years ago. I'd clawed my way to Seattle, crashing on friends' couches, freelancing logos for craft breweries until I landed a remote gig with a Portland ad agency. Therapy helped, sort of. It taught me to spot the red flags, like how Mom's check-ins always circled back to Jake's sightings. He's doing so well.
Mia.
In real estate now. You should forgive. Forgive? I'd laughed into the void of my tiny studio apartment, the space needle mocking me through rain-streaked windows. But seeing that invite, it wasn't just an uninvite. It was a declaration. Mom wasn't just cutting me out. She was inviting him. Jake's name glowed there. Third from the top. RSVP'd yes with a thumbs-up emoji. The shock burned into rage. Hot and familiar. Like whiskey chasing bad decisions. I paced my kitchenette, the linoleum sticking to my socks. Phone in hand. Call her? Scream?
No.
This needed precision. The kind of revenge that doesn't just sting, it scars. I hadn't touched the files in years. Buried on an external drive in a shoebox under my bed. But they were there, bank statements, forged invoices, Jake's emails to his investor in Austin bragging about the haul, and Mom's text to him. Post-disappearance. Take care of yourself, son. We'll handle Mia. Handle me. Like I was a loose end in one of Jake's scams. I booked the red-eye to O'Hare that night. The planes hum a low growl matching the storm in my chest. Chicago welcomed me with that brutal wind off the lake, whipping my coat like it wanted a fight. The cab ride to the homestead was a blur of familiar streets, Wrigley Field's marquee flickering in the distance, the L train rattling overhead like old bones. Mom had kept the place pristine, two-story colonial on a cul-de-sac in Oak Park. American flags on every porch. Kids on bikes dodging sprinklers even in October chill. Dad's hardware store was a block away. Shuttered early. Its windows papered with going out of business signs. The economy, Mom said. But we both knew it was the scandal's ghost. I didn't go home. Not yet. Instead, I holed up in a Holiday Inn Express off I-90. The kind with free waffles and motivational posters in the lobby. Laptop open. I compiled the dossier. PDFs of transfers. Screenshots of Jake's Venmo to side chick Austin. Even the audio clip of Mom pleading with him over voicemail. Don't worry.
Jake.
Mia's tough. She'll bounce back. Bounce back. From ruin. Each click of attach felt like loading a chamber. But this wasn't just about Jake. It was Mom's web. Her secrets tangled in mine. She'd known about the skimming months before it blew up, had covered for him. Fudged receipts to protect the family. And the biggest lie? The one that kept me up nights. Dad's heart attack 2 years back? Stress from the trial. Sure. But Mom's doctor friend whispered it was the Parkinson's flaring. Untreated because she blew the insurance on bailing Jake out of a DUI in Texas. By dawn, the email draft was a monster. Subject line, family reunion, the receipts. CC'd to every guest on that invite. Plus Dad's email, the one he barely checks anymore. Body, a timeline of theft. Betrayal. With hyperlinks to cloud folders. Dear family, it started. My voice steady on the page. As we celebrate Dad's 80 years of honest sweat, let's not forget the thieves in our midst. I hovered over send, heart hammering like a jackhammer on asphalt. This would torch bridges, maybe the whole damn estate. But uninvited? From my own blood?
Nah.
They wanted a party. I'd give them a reckoning. The party was Saturday. Black tie optional. At the VFW hall downtown neutral ground, Mom said, to avoid old ghosts. I arrived early, blending into the setup crew in jeans and a Cubs hoodie, volunteering my hands for tablecloths and chair arrangements. The hall smelled of stale beer and polished oak. Faded photos of World War II vets lining the walls like silent judges. Dad shuffled in later, frail in his tweed jacket, eyes lighting up at the sight of me despite Mom's glare from the punch bowl.
May.
You made it. His hug was Bones and Old Spice, a time capsule of Little League games and bedtime stories about leprechauns. Mom hovered, her pearl necklace tight as a noose.
Mia.
This is unexpected. Her voice was all honeyed Illinois vowels, but her eyes screamed intruder. Jake slunk in behind her, looking every bit the upgraded sleeves, tailored blazer, salt and pepper beard, arm around a blonde who could be his daughter. Mia. Long time. His grin was a shark's flash. But I saw the flicker. The receipts were coming.
And he knew it.
The toast started at dusk, golden hour slanting through the windows like reluctant applause. Uncle Ted rambled about Dad's fishing trips. Aunt Rita teared up over Mom's rock-solid support. My turn came uninvited. Microphone snatched from the MC like a lifeline. To Dad, I said, voice echoing off the rafters. 80 years of building, fixing, forgiving. And to the family that breaks what he mends. Gasps rippled. Mom's face drained to chalk. I pulled out my phone, the group chat already pinging. Check your messages. Everyone. Because some debts don't age well. The room erupted in a symphony of chimes. Screens lighting faces like digital campfires. Jake bolted for the door, but I blocked him. My whisper venomous. Running again? Cute. Mom lunged, snatching at my arm. What have you done? Everything. I thought. And nothing.
Yet.
The fallout hit like a Midwest tornado, fast, furious, and leaving nothing standing but regret and recriminations. Phones buzzed like hornets as relatives scrolled, murmurs swelling to shouts. 43 grand? From Pop's store. Cousin Eddie, red-faced from the open bar, jabbed his screen at Mom. You knew, Aunt Claire? And invited him. Jake's blonde, Tiffany, or Tiffany Light, clutched his arm, her acrylics digging in like claws. Is this true? Babe, you said it was a misunderstanding. Mom's empire cracked right there, under the VFW's fluorescent buzz. She spun on me, eyes wild as a cornered possum. You spiteful little, this is your father's night. How could you? How could I? The question I'd asked myself in therapy sessions, staring at rain-lashed windows in Seattle. But seeing her defend Jake, the man who'd gutted us, while uninviting the daughter who'd paid his debts, it flipped a switch. Because blood's thicker than water.
Mom.
Except when it's yours, then it's just ink on a check you forged. Dad wheezed from his chair, oxygen mask fogging as he waved me over. The party fractured around us, guests clustering in factions. Some glaring at Jake, others shooting pity at Mom. Aunt Rita cornered me by the dessert table, her voice a conspiratorial hiss. I always knew that boy's slime.
Mia.
But Claire? Covering for him? That's not right. Not right. Understatement of the decade. But as the whispers spread, I felt the twist, the one that made this revenge taste like ash. Because buried in those files wasn't just theft, it was Mom's secret. The one she'd chanted over rosaries to bury, the affair. It started unraveling the morning after the crash. Jake didn't just steal money, he stole truths. I'd found the emails 2 years into our marriage, tucked in a password-protected folder labeled taxes. Mom and Jake, entangled since his first internship at the store. Late nights, balancing books, her hand on his knee under the desk, caught on a nanny cam I'd installed after a hunch. The footage was grainy, but the moans unmistakable. I'd confronted her alone. In the kitchen with its 4 mica counters scarred from decades of family feasts. How long, Mom? She'd crumpled. Mascara rivers on her cheeks. It was a mistake.
Mia.
Your father. The store was failing. Jake made me feel alive.
Alive.
While Dad slaved, tremors worsening from the stress. I'd swallowed it. For the family. For the fragile peace. Even when Jake confessed, drunk. Post-fight. Your mom's tighter than you.
Babe.
No wonder Pop's limp. I'd punched him. Split my knuckle on his jaw. But stayed silent. Took the fall to protect her secret. Let the world think I was the fool. And now, here we were. The affair bleeding into the open via forwarded chains, her love notes to him. My night in shining spreadsheets, interleaved with embezzlement logs. The cops showed up an hour in, called by Uncle Ted, who couldn't let fraud slide. Jake cuffed in the parking lot, protesting statute of limitations, while Tiffany peeled out in her Beamer. Mom followed. Voluntary statement. Her lawyer on speed dial, the one Dad's premiums paid for.
Me?
I stayed with Pop, wheeling him to the ambulance when his breathing hitched. Proud of you, kiddo, he rasped, hand squeezing mine. Proud? For torching the family? But his eyes, cloudy with meds, held no blame. Just that old Irish twinkle. Like he'd known all along. The drive to the hospital was a gauntlet of flashing lights and prying eyes. News vans clustered outside the VFW, local affiliate, Channel 5, sniffing drama like blood in the water. Harlan family scandal. Daughter exposes mom's lover in birthday bombshell. I shielded Dad's face. But the headlines were already viral. TikTok's splicing party footage with my toast. Seattle friends texted. You okay? This is wild. Wild. That's one word for it. The other? Cathartic. Until the doubt crept in. At Northwestern Memorial, the ER hummed with beeps and bleach. Nurses in scrubs herding us to obey. Dad stabilized. But Mom arrived in a whirlwind of perfume and denial, heels clicking like accusations.
Mia.
We need to talk. Alone. Her face was a mask, powder caked over the cracks, but her voice cracked on alone. I followed her to the family lounge. Vending machine coffee steaming between us like a peace offering neither wanted. You think this fixes anything? You've humiliated us. Your father could have died.
Died.
From the shock. Or the lies. He almost did.
Mom.
From your choices. Covering for Jake. Letting me rot for his sins. She flinched. But rallied. That Midwestern grit kicking in. I protected you. If the affair came out, it'd kill him. The store was drowning. Jake was our lifeline. Lifeline. A noose. More like. But here's the flip. The schemer's pivot that made her the villain I both hated and pitted. She wasn't all monster. Dad's Parkinson's? Diagnosed early. But she'd hidden the severity. Dosed him with placebos to keep spirits up, terrified of nursing homes. Jake's theft? Half went to experimental treatments in Boston. Black market trials she couldn't insure. I did it for him.
Mia.
For all of us. Her confession hung there, a grenade with the pin half pulled. Was it absolution? Or another layer of manipulation? I'd seen her flip like this before, charm offensive after every fight, baking pies laced with apologies. But this? Admitting the theft funded Dad's cure? It muddied the waters. Made my revenge feel like kicking a wounded dog. And uninviting me? Inviting him. She looked away, coffee cup trembling. I thought. Closure.
For you.
See, he's moved on. Forgive. Heal.
Heal.
By rubbing salt in the wound. We drove home in silence, the city lights blurring into streaks of accusation. The house felt haunted, photos of smiling faces now mocking. Dad's chair empty by the TV. Mom retreated to her room, door clicking shut like a gavel. I poured bourbon from a stash, the burn steadying my shakes. Sleep evaded, chased by what-ifs. What if I'd sent the files sooner? What if Jake's arrest dragged her down, but saved Dad the grief? Dawn broke gray. And with it, the next twist, a voicemail from Jake's lawyer. MS. Harlan, your mother's involvement. It's deeper than you know. Meet me.
Coffee.
Neutral ground.
Deeper.
The word echoed as I laced up boots, the Chicago cold nipping at my resolve. This wasn't over, it was just reloading. The coffee shop was a hipster haunt in Andersonville, exposed brick, pour-overs that tasted like regret, baristas with sleeve tattoos slinging oat milk lattes. Jake's lawyer, a slick weasel named Harlan, irony noted, waited in a corner booth. Manila folder fanned like a bad poker hand. MS.
Harlan, Mia.
Appreciate you coming. His suit screamed billable hours. Tie a slash of crimson against starched white. I slid in opposite. Black coffee steaming. No cream for the cream of the crop. Cut the charm. What's deeper? He leaned in, voice dropping to that conspiratorial timbre lawyers love. Your mother's not just an accessory. She's the architect. Architect. The word landed like a sucker punch. He slid over docs, wire transfers from Mom's personal account to Jake's shell company, dated before the store skim. She initiated. Needed capital for extracurriculars. Extracurriculars. The affair. Sure. But the folder whispered more. Clinic receipts from a fertility specialist in Milwaukee. IVF attempts. Postmenopause miracles. Funded by fraud. Claire wanted a baby with Jake. Your father's swimmers.
Well.
Compromised by the meds. A baby. Mom's dream since I was a teen, ranting about empty nest blues, eyeing strollers at Jewel-Osco like they were holy grails. But with Jake, the timeline snapped into focus. Her glow during my engagement, the vacations to Door County that smelled of secrecy. She'd schemed the theft to bankroll frozen embryos. A half-sibling I'd never meet, all while I played Patsy. Proof. I croaked, flipping pages, dates blurring. Harlan smirked. Bank records. Emails. She's facing conspiracy charges. But leverage. Leverage. The word slithered, his eyes gleaming. Drop your complaint, and I bury this. Jake walks. Mom skates. Or testify. And watch the family implode. Your call. My call. As if revenge was a choose-your-own-adventure, not a freight train I'd already derailed. I left with a folder clutched like contraband, the Swedish pancakes next door mocking my nausea. Back at the house, Dad was napping, monitors beeping softly in the living room we'd converted to a sick ward. Mom was in the kitchen, chopping carrots with mechanical fury, knife flashing like her temper. Lawyer, she guessed, not looking up. I slapped the folder down, pages splaying like spilled guts. A baby. Mom, with him? She froze, blade hovering, then resumed with a vengeance chop. Chop. Like severing ties. You wouldn't understand. Your father. After the diagnosis, he shut down. No more intimacy. No more life. Jake was fire. Fire that burned us all. But her voice cracked on life, and there it was, the flip again. Not monster, but mourner. I wanted something pure.
Mia.
A piece of us that wasn't fading.
Us.
Her and Jake. Rewriting the family script. I laughed, bitter as burnt toast.
Pure?
You stole from Dad's legacy for your side hustle spawn. The fight escalated, words flying like plates in a 70s sitcom gone noir. She accused me of jealousy. Always the golden girl. Now sour grapes. I hurled back the uninvited. You chose him over your only kid. Dad stirred then, calling weakly from the hall. Girls. Enough. We rushed, flanking him like sentinels. But his eyes darted between us, piecing the puzzle.
Claire. The boy.
She'd told him fragments over the years.
Mercy lies. But now?
The full horror dawned, his face crumpling like wet newsprint. For what? A ghost child? Mom broke, sobbing into his shoulder. Apologies tumbling like dice. I stood frozen. The polarizer, hero or homewrecker. Because in that moment, exposing her didn't free Dad, it chained him to fresh grief. The hospital called mid-meltdown, stress spike. Readmit. As we loaded him into the ambulance, sirens wailing into the night, I spotted Jake across the street, uncuffed. Harlan's doing? Watching with that damn grin. He mouthed bitch, and I flipped him off, the gesture small against the chaos. The climax brewed over the next 48 hours. A pressure cooker of depositions and denials. Prosecutors circled, offering deals. Jake pleads to misdemeanor. Mom to accessory. Me immunity for testimony. But Dad's decline accelerated, pneumonia from the aspiration. Doc said. Lungs filling with unspoken fury. I sat vigil, for drips ticking like a bomb, while Mom paced the hall, flipping from supplicant to siren. Drop it.
Mia.
For him. Let us heal, as a family. Heal. The word she'd weaponized since I was small, guilting me into straight A's. Into silence. But the schemer in her surfaced. A midnight email from her account. Hacked? No. Forwarded by Harlan, to Jake. If she testifies, take her down. The videos. Videos. Plural. My stomach dropped. The nanny cam hadn't just caught her. Jake had his own stash, our bedroom. Fights. The night I confessed knowing about the affair.
Intimate.
Weaponized. Blackmail blueprint. Testify. And the world sees Mia Harlan unhinged. Abusive. The real villain. Rage boiled to revelation. This wasn't revenge, it was war. With Dad's life as collateral. I confronted her in the ICU waiting room, vending hum a dirge. The videos.
Mom.
Your insurance policy? She paled, then rallied, classic flip. Self-preservation. Darling. You started this fire. Started? I'd forwarded receipts. She'd built the blaze. But as Dad coded behind the glass, paddle shocking, nurses shouting, the polarization peaked. Testify. Save the store's honor. Damn us all. Or fold. Preserve the facade. Let thieves thrive. I chose the gray. Met Harlan at dawn. Folder traded for a flash drive of his skeletons, Jake's priors, tax dodges, even a restraining order from Tiffany. Walk. Or we all burn. He blinked, then nodded, deal struck. No cops. Just civil suits and NDAs. Mom emerged unscathed, but scarred. Jake slunk back to Austin. Penniless. Dad stabilized, but the light in his eyes dimmed. Forgiveness a flicker. Yet the tension coiled, unresolved. Whispers at the delayed birthday redo, a quiet diner affair, hints of more secrets. Mom's glances at her phone. Jake's anonymous texts pinging mine. Not over.
Mia.
The antagonist wasn't one. It was us. Flipping masks in the endless American dance of love and grudge. The diner smelled of grease and ghosts. Formica booths sticky under elbows as we gathered for Dad's real 80th, a pared-down affair. No VFW fanfare. Just pie and weak coffee at the corner spot in Oak Park where he'd proposed to Mom over malts in '68. The relatives trickled and wary. Air thick with unspoken indictments. Uncle Ted clapped my back too hard. Hell of a move. Mimi, while Aunt Rita slid me a flask under the table. For the nerves. Dad presided at the head. Oxygen tank hissing softly. Cake a single sheet with crooked candles. 80 flicks of flame. Wishes unspoken. Mom played hostess. All forced smiles and refills. But her eyes tracked me like a hawk on a field mouse. The flip was constant now, morning apologies melting to afternoon barbs. You're enjoying this. Aren't you? Playing judge. Enjoying? The word curdled. Nights blurred into Seattle flashbacks. But here, in the heartland hum of semis on 290, it was raw. I'd won the battle. Jake's assets frozen in a quiet settlement. Mom's extracurriculars, funds seized for Dad's care, but victory tasted like hospital jello, wobbly and false. The twist dropped 2 days post-pie, as leaves turned fire red under Chicago's reluctant autumn. Dad called me to his study, the old den with its creaky desk and shelves of dog-eared westerns, door shut against Mom's eavesdropping.
Sit.
Kiddo. His voice was gravel, hand steady for once on his cane. He slid over a letter. Yellowed envelope addressed to him in Mom's looping script. Postmark Austin. 5 years old. Read it. Her words spilled like contraband. Confession to the affair. The theft. The IVF dreams. But the gut twist? I'm leaving.
Tom.
For Jake. For the baby we made. It's a boy. Due in spring. Forgive me.
But Mia.
She's the chain holding me here. Tell her I love her. But I can't breathe with her eyes on me.
A boy.
Half-brother. Frozen in time because Jake bailed. Because Mom chose silence over scandal. She'd stayed. For Dad's health. For appearances. But the uninvite? A final cut. Testing if I'd chase or let go. Dad's eyes. Watery but sharp. Met mine. New bits. Not all. Forgave the rest.
But you.
Mia, you carried it alone. Time to unburden. Unburden. The word unlocked something. Not rage. But release. I hugged him. Tears soaking his flannel. The room spinning with what-ifs. What if she'd left? What if the boy lived? A wild card in our deck. The debate raged internal. Heroic loyalty or selfish sabotage. Mom, scheming to the end, had flipped us all into pawns. She found us there. Letter trembling in her fist. Dad must have left it out. Mercy or malice.
Tom.
You read it. Her voice shattered. The mask slipping fully. No rally. No scheme, just a woman. 68 and frayed. Collapsing to knees. I stayed for you. For her. The baby. Miscarriage. Jake's fault. Too much coke one night. Miscarriage. The secret. Chiseled deeper than theft. We encircled her. A tableau of fractured forgiveness. Dad's hand on her shoulder. Mine hesitant on her back. Why uninvite me? I whispered. She looked up. Eyes mirrors of my own.
To force your hand.
Make you fight back. Expose it all. I was drowning in lies. Your revenge was my absolution. Absolution. Controversial as hell. The kind that splits dinner tables and therapy groups. Was she victim or viper? I'd polarized the family. But in truth, we were all gray, betrayers betrayed. Secrets are shared inheritance. Jake, a ghost, sued into oblivion. His text ceasing with a final "you win." But winning felt like surviving a car wreck. Airbags deployed, frame bent. We didn't reconcile clean, no Hallmark hugs. No instant mends. Mom sold the house. Downsized to a condo in Evanston. Closer to Dad's specialists. I split time. Seattle gigs remote. Chicago pulls magnetic. Therapy shifted, not blame, but boundaries. The final debate? Over beers with Eddie one night. Cubs game droning. You did right.
Mia.
But damn. At what cost?
Cost.
Dad's health rallied. Ironically, truth is tonic, but the scars? Etched permanent. Like tattoos under sweaters. As winter gripped the lakefront, snow blanketing the hardware store's corpse, I stood at Dad's grave. Wait.
No.
He's alive. Stubborn as ever. But the end loomed. A shadow we danced around. The tragedy? No tidy bow. The happy? In the flips, the way Mom now texts recipes without barbs. Dad's laugh genuine at my jokes. Revenge taught me, no one's all right or wrong. We're just humans. Fumbling in the dark. Receipts in hand. And me, Mia Harlan. Uninvited no more. Invited to my own life. Finally.